Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Joseph Houston, and as the director of the Lewiston Public Library, I would like to welcome you all to Great Falls Forum. The Forum is a monthly speaker series featuring leaders in the area of business, public policy, academia, and the arts, and is a partnership of Bates College, the Sun Journal, and the Lewiston Public Library. This year marks the 28th season of Great Falls Forum. We thank you for your support and ensuring the program's continued success. Today's program is also streaming live via Zoom, and a recording will be available on the library's YouTube page. Please visit lplonline.org for more information. Please mark your calendars for the next Great Falls Forum on October 16th with Kevin Boylard, founder and director of Caden's Kitchen. At the conclusion of today's program, there will be an opportunity for audience questions. Those in the room are welcome to raise their hands, and those joining us virtually can enter their questions using the Q&A feature on Zoom. We'll read these to our speaker. And now I have the pleasure of introducing today's featured speaker, Russ Dillingham. A lifelong resident of Lewiston, Russ stumbled into photography as a college student working toward a career in psychology. His great-grandfather, Louis B. Costello, was the publisher of the Lewiston Daily Sun and Evening Journal, and his grandfather, who Russ is named after, was a staff photographer before becoming publisher. Russ planned to move to a big city to live and work until a light came on while he was in the dark room. During summer breaks, he worked in the press and composing rooms at the Sun Journal, and between his junior and senior year, landed a job as a darkroom technician in the photography department, where he developed an interest in taking photos. He immediately demonstrated a creative eye and a knack for being in the right place at the right time. When the Sun Journal launched a Sunday edition, he was offered a job that began his 43-year career. He lives in Lewiston, where he and his wife raised 3 boys. His innate curiosity and love for new technology has kept his passion burning. From using 360-degree cameras to becoming a licensed drone pilot, he's always eager to try something new. After 3 decades of doing the same job, he is still excited to come to work every day and is always seeking new challenges and adventures. Now, this next part, I'm supposed to say, please join me in welcoming Russ to Lewiston, but I think by all rights, Russ could probably welcome any and all of us to Lewiston. So I will instead say, please join me in acknowledging and applauding Russ.
Well, thank you all for coming, and those online who are watching. Really appreciate the support, especially those longtime subscribers who pay my bill. 5 years ago, if you would have asked me what I'm doing today, I would have said certainly not being a photojournalist. The way the state of the industry has been going, it's really a sad state of affairs when what you get on the internet is not always truthful and representative of reality. What we do at the newspaper is bring people real news, vetted, and our job is to tell both sides of the story. On the internet, you can get just about anything you want to validate your own conceptions and preconceived notions, and it really is, it's a sad state, and I think it's one of the reasons why people have become so polarized. With a newspaper subscription, you not only get news, sports, weather, slices of life, but you get both sides of a story. And I keep saying that because people nowadays want to hear what they want to hear. And what we give is 2 sides to every story. It really is an important part of Americana. I really think local journalism is very fragile these days. And I really have to thank the Maine Trust and the local trust for keeping us going and keeping us viable. How many of you guys out there miss waking up at the crack of dawn, sitting down at the kitchen table, a cup of coffee, thumbing through the newspaper? Yeah, me too. Yeah, so now we lay in bed and scroll. But, just the cost of printing a paper and delivering it. There's no young kids out there anymore delivering papers in the morning on their bikes. It's all professionals and cars. And it really, it's cost prohibitive, and that's where we're trying to transition into online and web delivery of our content. It's a tough pill to swallow, and a lot of people are having a hard time with it. But I think the more we get accustomed to it, the more people use it, the better it's going to be. So please bear with us as we grow and as we change and as we evolve. I mean, back in the day, I never would have thought when I was developing film that I could take a photo on my phone and within a few seconds, it's all over the world. I mean, it's crazy the way how technology has evolved and the way we deliver our news. Enough pontificating. I'll get right into what I do. I've got about 250 slides that I want to try to get through, but I'll try to explain things. Here's one of my favorite photos. This is the Great Falls Balloon Festival. I mean, Liberty Festival. Over the years, I've taken numerous different angles and things, and fireworks are pretty standard. You put a camera on a tripod. It's about a 20-second exposure, and the thing with this photo is not only are the fireworks going off behind the basilica at the Liberty Festival, but somebody was lighting some off down on Walnut Street in the foreground. So it really just framed the basilica and really made for putting a photo over the top. I use it every year. I try to find different spots throughout the city to use that same technique. Stories that we do, like on City Hall, where we need some type of visual element where the story does not lend itself to any type of art. Here I go. Get to use my tool, one of my tools in my toolbox. Maine State Ballet. I covered the Nutcracker one year, and I used that same technique. And I was very flattered when they asked me if they could use that photo on their T-shirts and some of their advertising for the next year. And it really kind of resonated how powerful and impactful my work can be. Love nature, scenics. I know there's some hardcore news men that say there's no place in journalism for nature and scenic photos, but I buck the trend quite often. Do something called a mystery photo every week. Every Sunday, I take a photo of something and people try to identify it. And of all the correct answers, I grab one of them in a random drawing, and they get a $25 gift card to Hannaford. He was one of those days where I was out on assignment for the drought that we're having, the severe drought. I had already taken a few photos, and then I came upon this scene, and I thought, well, that'd be a nice mystery photo with the tractors in the background and the nice clouds. And then all of a sudden, this farmer walked through the frame, and it went from a mystery photo to the lead photo of our paper for the story to illustrate how dry it was. He was coming back with a small bucket full of vegetables, and part of what we do is not just visual; it's the quotes and the stories that we tell. And he had quite a few good quotes that just kind of made the photo sing. Invested in a macro lens a few years ago, and I just can't get enough of it. Patience is a virtue, and quite often, you spend 15, 20, half an hour to get something. Long lens, 400 millimeter, kind of get you right in there. This was actually on film, and everybody thought I manipulated it somehow. But back in the day, film, it was a lot more difficult to manipulate images than it is now. But I actually just happened to be in the right place at the right time, and that's half of the job. Putting yourself in the right place at the right time, having patience, taking a chance. I don't know how many times I've just waited and waited and waited for something to happen, and nothing does happen. So you have to be willing to fail in order to be able to get those types of images that really, really are cool. This is right in my backyard. Got to give my neighbor credit for giving me a call and saying, "Hey, Russ, got to check this out. There's a some type of a beast hanging out up at the Davis Mountain. And sure enough, I went up there and grabbed this. Um, I've developed a rapport with many of you who have called me and give me tips, and that's so important to be part of the community. After 43 years, I can't go to the grocery store without somebody pulling me aside and saying, "Hey, well, first of all, it's I didn't get my paper today. It didn't come today." But aside from that, they're always giving me tips and ideas, and really, I always try to act out on them. Just little slices of life sometimes, moments. I was at the Blue Mass for honoring the firefighters and police, and this little girl broke free from her mom and ran up on the up on the altar, and it was kind of just something different. I'm always looking for something unique and different. Surprised George isn't here today. George Stanley, one of the most eclectic people I've ever met. Boy, I'll tell you, he's quite the character. If you've ever had a chance to talk to this man. And you know, I was up on my way up to Rangeley for the frog jumping contest, and we needed a feature that day, and I always got my eyes out, always head on a swivel, always looking for something, and I found this up in Byron. Another mystery photo. Balloon Festival every year. I think I've covered most every one of them except for a couple. It's like shooting fish in a barrel. You really can't help but get great images. The newspaper, about 2016, I petitioned for a drone. We had been spending, well over $1,000 a year to hire planes to go up whenever there was a significant event that we wanted to get from the air. And I convinced them to invest in a drone. With a drone commercially, you need to have a license for the FAA. So I had to take a test, just like a pilot does. And then you've got to have commercial insurance, which is about $500-600 a year. So in order to do anything, whether you're a contractor or a photographer, you need to be licensed and insured in order to follow the letter of the law. So we have. This was taken actually from a balloon. And you'll notice the difference between the wide angle lenses and this. I used a zoom lens, a long lens, powerful lens. And what that does is that compresses the images. So it really brings together everything, the mountains in the background and the balloons in the foreground. And it's just another one of those tools in my toolbox that through experience, you know when to use what lens and how it all works. This is right next door, the old Sun Journal coming down. Right now they're hanging steel, but there's no better way to show how a scene, especially a housing development or something, or a school, or some type of a wide panorama. This is the Wedgwood project that I've been following over the years, putting it together downtown, transforming a neighborhood. It really is incredible. So EL, I've been following that for 3-4 years from the start to the finish. Really was quite the project. Our fair city. At night, you can see there's a little blur in there. It's all the techniques. When the new police station was finished, I thought that this really gives an idea to the average reader who doesn't know where it is, that really gives a sense of place. That's one of the beauties of being able to fly. Every few years, I go to the Kennedy Park pool. This is 1 year. That's another. Same thing, different people, different scenes. Graphic, artistic. Farmer hanging his field. Shadows. I love this one. The bus drivers were doing some type of a training, and they did this, and you look down the lower left, there's a bus driver that looks like they're balancing on top of the shadow down there. Thought that was kind of added to the photo. Long shadows. friend of mine, Mary Siemens, bought a lighthouse on Canton Lake. Called me up and said, "Hey, you should do a story on this." Sure enough, we did. Here she is canoeing out to it. Solar farms. We have so many of those popping up everywhere. And something from the ground really wouldn't give it justice. This really kind of is a graphic element. The leap explosion. Very difficult situation there up in Farmington. I never thought I'd ever have a chance to fly. I didn't think this is the LEAP building in Farmington that blew up a few years ago. Yep. So I was actually on my way to Farmington for the fair that day, and about halfway up there, I got a call from Donna Perry, one of our reporters up in the area, that they had this massive explosion, and we coordinated. She went to one end of the scene, and I went to the other. I called her and I said, "Hey, listen, just for shits and giggles, can you ask the state police, because that's where she was down where they were stationed. I was trying to squirrel my way in through the back roads. I said, just for shits and giggles, could you ask them if they would mind if I launched a drone?" And didn't think there was a snowball's chance in hell that they would allow it. About an hour later, she calls me up and she said, "Hey, they said it's okay." And I launched it, and really goes to show the devastation and the destruction. Same thing with the J paper mill that blew up a few years ago. You really don't get the sense of the devastation from the ground, but you do from the air. A few years later, they're tearing it down, and they're transforming it into a wood kind of wood material. What is it? No, not wood pellets. Planking, kind of like what do you want to call it? Composite stuff. So pretty impressive. Got to give our love to Rumford, one of the last working mills along the river. Really don't realize how big these things are, but from the air, you really get a sense of it. Now, this is actually 5 photos all stitched together, because my camera has a wide angle lens, but certainly not wide enough to capture the expanse of it. So years ago, I would do something like this and have to manually stitch the photos together, edge to edge. That would take me hours. Something like this, select the in Lightroom, Adobe Lightroom, select the 5 photos, hit a panorama button, and within 30 seconds, spits it out. Incredible technology. News, that's my forte. Being in the right place at the right time with the right tools. And here's my 15 minutes of fame. Bo Thompson was a criminal back in the day who had eluded police for months. They had him cordoned up in the building here, and all the police ran up. I figured where maybe he was coming out by the noise and the footsteps going up the stairwell, and I positioned myself so that when he came out, jumped off the balcony, I caught him in midair. He hit the roof, rolled off, and Adam Higgins said, "Tackle him, Russ." So I put my camera down and I tackled him. And I love this photo because he's looking up at me saying, "Oh my God, I just got tackled by a photographer." Like, God. So I got my 15 minutes of fame. All the local TV stations interviewed me, and then CNN actually flew me down to New York to be on the Morning America show. So that was my claim to fame. That year, I won the Journalist of the Year. And matter of fact, this photo won second place. This photo won first place. And I have the dubious of being only one of 2 photographers to ever be awarded Journalist of the Year. So I feel pretty proud of that. I won first place Spot News for this one this year. This guy was naked, flailing around in the canal, and fortunately the arms and legs of the police officers and fire department kind of covered up the unmentionable parts, so it kind of made it into a PG-13 instead of an R photo. again, my head's always on a swivel. While everybody else was concentrating on the fire and the scene, I kind of out of the side of my eye caught the fire, the police officers escorting this guy down the road, and figured that he may have started the fire. We actually didn't run the photo until a couple days later when they actually charged him, because who knows? Nowadays, we've become a lot more compassionate. Years ago, we might have run that, but there are so many situations where people are in situations that they're falsely accused or they're exonerated, but once they're in the paper, um, it's tough to take that back. It was a great story. This guy was driving his truck down Minot Avenue when it flipped during a snowstorm. He was eager to talk to me, and it's really interesting how some people don't want to give you the time of day, or they're give you the dagger eyes. But it's amazing. I'm always amazed at sometimes when people really want to talk and chat. Yeah. Well, number one, I put my camera down, put it to the side, and just kind of, over the years, I've really developed a sense of when somebody wants to talk and when they don't. I mean, it's kind of obvious, but then you just cozy up to them and say, "Hey, how you doing? What the heck happened? You okay?" And be a human being first, and being compassionate, and asking them questions, and then just um, a situation like this, I said, was it okay if I take some pictures? And he said, yeah, sure, fine. I just want to get this car out of here so I can go across the street to Mac's Grill and have a steak and a beer. And that was in the quote, that was in my caption, and that really just kind of, adds to the whole package. So many scenes, so many guns, so much violence. It really is day after day. And it really is getting worse. And sometimes we've got to be there to cover it. Sometimes it involves juveniles. These two kids held police at bay for hours and hours and hours. I had to tell the story, but I didn't want to expose them. So it's kind of, a lot of it has to do with selection. Is Brandon Staples, who was on a rage. They had to close down the South Bridge for all morning on a Sunday morning. It really is. There's a lot of debate whether we should run something like this, because he really didn't harm anybody. There was no, he was arrested, obviously, but do we run something like that? And in the end, people wanted to know why the bridge was closed down for so long, and so we ended up running it. This guy was wanted, but and he held up in his house, but all he wanted was his paycheck and a cigarette. And after a couple hours of negotiations, he got his paycheck and his cigarette, and then went off to jail. Our homeless situation and the drug abuse has led to so many problems throughout the city. It really is a tough situation that I'm not going to dwell on. And here's an example of at Bates College. There was a kind of a riot one year. Sorry, Elizabeth. And these two guys caused some trouble. As a matter of fact, Rob Ulrich, police officer, broke his leg during the melee. And these two guys were drunk as a skunk, and they were proud of themselves, and they were hooting and hollering and having a good time. Well, about 5 years later, when they graduated and they were trying to find a job, guess what came up when their names were searched on the Google search? So we actually ended up pulling this from our archives and trying to get it off the internet. I've got mixed emotions, mixed feelings about this. I'm kind of a firm believer that you got to reap what you sow, but I'm also trying to be a little bit more compassionate in my old age, and I understand things and how things go. Sometimes just moments before she getting carted off to jail had to kiss her boyfriend goodbye. This was a real difficult triple fatal that we really struggled with whether to run these things or not. Um, I'm not going to belabor the point, but it's very difficult for me sometimes to be there and to do my job, but it's part of my job. Capturing a moment where these people just realized how lucky they were to escape without being killed. Especially difficult when it's your son who's involved in a head-on accident. Fortunately, Devin in the background escaped pretty much unscathed. Not so much for the other guy. When it's somebody who sat next to your wife on a daily basis going to and from work when she's dead in the back seat, that's can be very difficult. And sometimes when nobody's hurt, you're just looking for something that's kind of interesting photos, and I'm always scratching my head, how the heck do some of these things happen? When children are involved, those are the most difficult. This young boy was clinging to life when I got there. And rather than getting a picture of him getting carted off on a stretcher, I tried to find something that really was impactful, powerful, told the story, but wasn't graphic and gruesome and gory, but really kind of grabbed you. One of the more difficult things was Jaden Cho Sargent got run over by a vehicle, died right out in front of my house, basically. It's back in the day when we were first doing live broadcast on Facebook. And when his mother came upon the scene and started wailing, it was hurtful. It was hurtful to the audience. It was hurtful to me. It really got a lot of hate mail from that. And I cut it off as soon as I could, but live feed is really something that is a gamble. So months later, actually, it was probably a year later when it went on trial, I had to sit through the trial and watch the family for the first time see the video that was captured of this event that happened, and that was reliving it over again for all of us was very difficult. Again, when children are involved, sometimes getting a moment that's, we can't give our firefighters and our police enough credit sometimes, and the things they do and the techniques they use. And he just grabbed this kid out that accident and just kind of distracted it from his mom being taken off in an ambulance. So many falls from windows, ATV accidents, car accidents, shootings. Oh yeah, and this guy that wandered out into the onto the falls that didn't heed the warning or didn't know that the horn that was going off signified that the water level was rising and got stuck out there in the middle of the Great Falls. Happens about once every 2 or 3 years. Paul Duclos and his wife went out for a moonlight cruise, and his engine cut out. His wife was afraid of water to start with. I don't think she's ever been in a boat since. Sometimes when people lose everything, living on the edge, and then in this case, the roof collapsed after a heavy rain, and they lost everything and were on the streets trying to pick up. This was back about probably a couple decades ago. There was a murder out on Minot Avenue. Young guy shot his mother in the head right in the front yard. I was sent up in a plane, took some photos, and there he is standing over her with a shotgun. And we chose to run this photo on our front page. In hindsight, boy, was that a mistake. It was the beginning of the internet when everything was becoming so graphic and people were seeing stuff like this. Our editors said, they're going to see it anyways. And, people are anesthetized. People are just, they see it all the time. And I fought against it, even though I took the photo, and I was overruled, and we ran it and paid the price. Mrs. Slavinsky had her bike stolen. Sometimes we do good things. We ran a story about it, and the perpetrator was so moved, I guess, or what, it felt so guilty that he brought it back and she got her bike back. So that was pretty interesting. That was kind of made you feel good. So many calamities and catastrophes that we cover. It's hours and hours in the courtroom covering trials. This was the first big fire that I ever went to. It was Pain Incense. Anybody remember that? That was huge back in the day. This was when the whole block burned down on Bartlett Street. We were having those rash of fires in 16, 17. That was probably one of the biggest ones I've ever been to. Like 4 or 5 buildings completely burned. I've got one of my favorite videos is from this, but that's another thing. We do a lot of video now, and that has really changed my whole concept and how I approach things. Used to be that I'd have to try to find a photo that encompasses the whole shebang in one photo, tell the story in one photo. Since the internet came around, we were able to put photo galleries together, which helps. But having voices and sound and movement, it really is added another dimension. Another thing that has kept my fire burning and passion and something interesting that piques my interest and keeps me going. Sure. No, go for it. That's a absolutely. Absolutely. Great question, Darby. Yeah, I'm always torn between video and stills. You can take a frame grab from a video, and I often have, but the quality is just not there. I think imagine someday, and they do have cameras that are incredibly high quality that you can do that. Of course, that's out of my price range, but yeah. So there's when do you decide to put the still camera down and switch over to video? That's a good question. And when do you do it? Putting together a video is really time consuming. If you want to put together a huge, a compilation of numerous clips, takes a lot. Sometimes, a 30-second clip of just a musician or an artist or a moment or something, it can suffice. But yeah, it really is a struggle to figure out what you want to do. So yeah, thanks. Sometimes I get to the scene and it's all but done, and trying to find something that is graphic. It tells the story. Can't believe I slept through this one. That was right across the bridge. I still kick myself for that. Again, just finding something different. The human element when somebody's lost everything really is tragic. You don't know how much ribbing these firefighters took for yes, these photos. So this was back when my kids were young. I picked them up after school, and we were on our way home. And of course, I've got a scanner in my car, and we heard about this dog that was stuck out on the river, and I didn't want to go because the last thing I wanted was to have it end badly and have the kids witness that. But of course, they wouldn't let me not go. So we went, and as they're putting their rescue tube together, the kids were all frantic because they were taking their time. They weren't rushing out there, and that was kind of dramatic. But they ended up getting out there, rescuing it, and it had a happy ending, and all was well. So sports consumes probably almost half of what we do. High school sports, and once again, where else are you going to get that but your local newspaper? So That's one of the things that are really important community things that we do. Actually, he knocked it down. It wasn't an interception, but he knocked it down. Catching that winning goal. Just is he out or safe? How can you tell? Eyes. I always love to get eyes in my photos. Ouch. Here again, I'm using a technique, panning, I'm using a slow shutter speed, and I'm panning with the runner so that everything in the background is out of focus and kind of streaky, but he's in focus. Kind of gives you that really that sense of movement. As much as I like shooting action, peak action, the moments, human interaction. This is after a playoff game that ended up in a 1-0 Lewiston beating EL. The camaraderie. I saw these girls go trancing out on the field in between each inning and just captured it the next inning. Soccer in Lewiston is a generational thing. Someday these kids will be on the other end and you get moments like this. It's really fun watching these kids grow up. And year after year, I see familiar faces with the same last name, but another generation come along. Getting both thrill of victory and the agony of defeat in one photo is really great. Coaches, Craig Gibson. We didn't publish that, but I'm always looking. And again, the action isn't always on the field. The best photos sometimes come from, just moments, slices of life. Foul ball. Josh County, I've watched him grow up over the years. Long story there, but he's Bill County coach's kid that is always on the sidelines. Quite a character. So this was about a 2-year project. I saw this happen when I was at this event the year before, but I wasn't able to get to the other side of the rink in time. So I put it back in memory and said, okay, next year, I know this is going to happen. So I put myself in the right place at the right time and planned it. And here it goes. It's all the little faces, all the young skaters hoping to be, as good as this girl. Followed Mark Plummer over the years. Don't realize how difficult it is to get that shot. You see it all the time, but being able to get in the right place at the right time and everything, all the pieces come together takes a lot. And again, I'm always looking for something different, something graphic, something interesting. Wrestling, is it a sport? I'm telling you, it's great entertainment. I was a little skeptical that I was assigned to do this, and I had the best time. People are so into it, and I'm telling you, it's a show. It really is. It was so fun, and I'm telling you, these guys are athletes. I don't care what you say. Maybe it's scripted, but holy mackerel, are they athletes? Our own Tony Atlas at 71, still at it, putting on a show. And these guys put on a show. We're always doing features. Upcoming state championship game. We did a story on the Lewiston High School hockey defenseman. Oh, what are you going to do? Just line them up and take a picture of them? So I'm always trying to find something different angle, different early season. Sometimes, yeah. I had the pleasure of covering my children sometimes back in the day. Most newspapers won't allow you to cover your family or children. And fortunately, I work for a small enough newspaper that the logistics just, you can't help but run into it. So I got to cover them. Our adopted son, Isaiah, I took a vacation week and went out and covered him and watched him win the NCAA championships. That was quite impressive. And then having him come home and give back. And I got to take this opportunity to thank my wife, Ann. Without her, none of this would have been possible. Again, looking for something different. Baseball game. I pre-focused on an area in between the pitcher and the batter, so everything was out of focus except for the ball. Add something different. Details. All about details. Oxford Plains Speedway. How many times have I been there? How many crashes have I seen? How many? Spend an evening one year, overnight. Boy, I'll tell you, that's quite the debauchery. Again, always look for something different. I love shooting through things, layering my photos. And when the hometown guy wins, it's even better. Jared Goulet painted many of the murals throughout the town. Just out looking for a feature. Went over to Lost Valley. They were making snow. This guy actually walks out to the middle of the trail, sticks out his hand, and as the snow falls on his arm, you can tell how sticky it is, and that's how they determine whether it's time to turn it off or keep it going. Bates puddle jump year after year. Again, the faces change, but the scenario is the same. Just, here's Edward Little High School. Yeah, you really don't realize how impressive this is. Slices of life, snowstorms that we're always covering. I love this one. This was from the Rangeley frog jumping contest. A little girl determined to go out and find a frog. Our new Muhammad Ali sculpture. Candid moment. Again, the balloon festival is like shooting fish in a barrel. There's so many visual things to see. Buzzy Mater. Remember back years ago, all the flags up on the Veterans Memorial Bridge? He wanted to remain incognito, and I through my contacts, I found out who it was, talked to him, convinced him to let me do a little story on him. I did a nice little video in tribute to him, and it was quite impressive. My neighbor Pete. I just love the juxtaposition of a young boy that's so happy and the little boy that's crying. Again, just slices of life. Love this pub park. Doing on time getting there. Fairs. Boy, I'll tell you, I've covered many fairs and I just love it. You can't help get good photos from that. So again, you find something and you go to it every year. So I get something like this most every year when I go to the fairs. Graduations, year after year. Again, trying to do something different. Here's a little, again, a time exposure. Get all the, from there, bored out of their skulls. Look at every single one of them on their phones. Right in my backyard, I covered Bates many years. Even in COVID, they bucked the system. They were told not to gather together, but the kids got together and had their own informal graduation ceremony. Always looking for something different. I don't know how many times I've said that, but that's what I do. Two different worlds come together. So here's a first day of school this year. I parked myself out in front of Montello School, so I wasn't on school grounds. Because I knew the buses would be coming in, and kids always are hamming it up on when they pull into the driveway. So I got this photo, and I know the school system is really sensitive about faces of kids. They all have permissions or not. In this case, we could have run this because I was on public property, but I called the principal and sent the photo to her, and she says, "Yeah, I know every single one of those kids, and I'm going to call their parents." And she did on the first day of school. She was really busy, but she took the time out. That says a lot. Unfortunately, one of the parents did not want their kid in the newspaper, so this never saw the light of day. Again, we could have run it, but why? Why burn bridges? That's what I have for photos. I'll play one. We'll play one. Okay. All right. Yeah, sure. Let's do it.
So I've got a microphone here for folks. If you have questions for Russ, you'll need to speak into the mic so that the folks watching at home can hear the question. Anybody have any questions? All right.
Russ, do you have your scanner going 25 hours a day? Is anybody getting sleep in your household?
That's a good point. You asked about a scanner. Okay, he asked if I get any sleep. Does my scanner go 24 hours a day? It used to. I used to have a handheld scanner. I used to have one in the house, one in the car, one at work. Unfortunately, the Lewiston and Auburn police departments have encrypted their scanner traffic. And that has really put a crimp on our, spot news and finding out what is going on in the town. I really hate to admit it, but we get a lot of our tips from Lewiston Rocks and other social media platforms. Now, bear with me. It's kind of like Wikipedia. You go there first to get an idea, and then you vet what you hear. You vet what is being told. You find different sources to verify. So, when I hear sirens and I can't get the traffic, chances are somebody's going to post, "Yeah, look what's happening down on Knox Street on Lewiston Rocks," and they'll say, if it's this one particular guy, he'll say the Russians are coming or something like that, or the aliens or whatever. But it gives you an idea of there's something big going on down there. So go down myself and find the real story. And again, I can't stress enough that everything you read on and see on the internet is not always factual. And people these days don't have critical thinking anymore. They want to believe what they want to believe, and it really has contributed to the dumbing down of America and the polarization and the if you're not with me, you're against me, and there's no civil discourse. And I think it's because there's just so much that they're being fed that just dovetails with their agenda. And I think it's really important that there's a local source of reasonable reporting that gives facts and both sides to every story. And that's what we try to do, is give both sides to every story and let the reader decide what to believe. But vetting our information and verifying is hugely important, and multiple sources. Yes, Elizabeth.
Saying both sides makes it sound dualistic, and I think you should say multiple sides.
Multiple sides.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Yes. True.
Thank you.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. There's more than one side to most every equation. Yes. Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you.
Any other questions?
Two-part question. During your time with Sun Journal, where's like the farthest you've traveled, or the coolest story you've gone out to go cover? And then secondary, on your personal life, what's your favorite photography traveling story?
Oh, wow. I mean, there's not much of a distinction between personal and and work. I mean, I've always got my camera. I'm always looking. As you know, I don't always have my DSLR on me, but I've got my phone. I don't know how many times I've taken pictures on my day off, on vacation, time off with my phone because that's what I got. It's like anything else. It's a tool. And as long as you know what you're doing, as long as you work within the parameters and the limitations of your tool, you can get something good. But it's all just a matter of knowing what you're using. As far as my favorites, I mean, God, there are just so many of them, from going out on a windjammer to being at the Red Sox World Series, watching the win the World Series, taking my wife to a Patriots game and having her stand next to Roger Clemens, not knowing who he was. That was that was fun. But you know, I think one of my favorite things is bringing to light the local artisans and do-gooders and the feel-good stories that are right here in our own community that people wouldn't know about if we didn't report on it. And that really is that's what we do, and that's what's really important with what we do.
Thanks, Russ. I apologize if I missed this at the beginning, but I'm old enough to remember when all the photographs in the paper were black and white. And as a photographer, I appreciate what difference it's made using color. Do you ever use black and white yourself, either for news stories or your own collection?
I have a few, and of course, you know, not every picture in the paper is color. So we do have pages that are black and white dedicated, and sometimes textures really resonate more in black and white. Silhouettes, you know, there are different situations where a black and white really works much better than color. But boy, were we excited when we could bring color to the newspaper, and that's changed. I think we used it a little bit too much. We had the USA Today type format back in the day that was just so ugly when you look back at it now. But you know, we had it, so we had to pump it out there. So, you know, like the balloon festival. I mean, how you know, black and white just wouldn't do it justice.